So now, لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. We move along to the second statement. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Drowsiness doesn't grab a hold of him, neither does sleep. That's a rough translation of لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. السنة النعاس من غير النوم والوسنان من ليس بمستغرق في نومه. They say in Arabic, sina, which is from the Arabic origin wasan, is when you are kind of sleeping but not truly sleeping. It's kind of like some people that are listening to this right now. They're coming in and out of consciousness. That is sina. When you're totally out and the person next to you can hear you snore, that's naum. Naum is when you're inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, you're done, down for the count. But when you're still kind of nodding off a little bit, they say يأخذه غشي يأخذ الإنسان لوقت قصير. Something that, kind of overtakes a person for a short period of time. Like if you're driving and it's been really late night and for a second you kind of, what just happened? That was actually sina. Someone's been awake and active and, over caring for something, taking care of something. What's natural to happen? They get tired. Allah just described Himself as alive. Then Allah described Himself as someone who actively takes care. By the way, He doesn't even mention what He takes care of. Let me يقول القيوم على خلقه. The maintainer over all of His creation. He didn't say that. He just said the maintainer. In other words, He maintains things that you can think of. He maintains things you can't even think of. He maintains things in the seen. He maintains things in the unseen. He maintains things inside of you and outside of you. It's an unlimited number of applications when someone's taking care. Now, the thing is, the appreciation of Allah, the true appreciation of Allah, is in actually acknowledging what He does in comparison to what we're capable of doing. That's the real appreciation of Allah. Whenever He gives Himself a name, He gives Himself an attribute, you'll notice a lot of those names, you can actually give those names to yourself too. Allah is, for example, Al-Hakim, the wise. There are people that have wisdom. Allah is Alim, the knowledgeable. There are people that have knowledge. Allah, for example, is Rahim. There are people that have mercy. His names, sometimes people share those names. But when you start to imagine what people do with these attributes, how far are they able to go? And then what Allah does, then you realize how supreme Allah is above His creation. وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. So how far above? He makes us realize how far above His creation He is. So let's compare for a second. We're not talking about Allah now. We're talking about our own weakness. Someone's taking care of something. You're taking care of business, family, home, a sick member of the family in the hospital. You're taking care of all kinds of things. What happens eventually? You need to sleep or no? You get tired or no? Somebody says, my cousin's in the ER. I'm going to go. I'm going to sit right next to him. No, I don't need to sit. I'll stand. You'll stand for 1 hour, 2 hours. Eventually, what are you going to do? You're going to sit down. And when you're going to sit down, no, I don't need to sleep. I don't need to sleep. The nurse will say, hey, you want to lie down on the couch? No, I'm fine. Eventually, no matter how badly you want to take care, you want to watch over, what's going to happen to you? Whether you like it or not, you're going to fall asleep. Allah says, لا تأخذه سنة. Even drowsiness doesn't get a hold of Him. Forget sleep. That's why sleep is mentioned second. Obviously, the first step towards sleep is drowsiness, exhaustion. That doesn't even ever touch Him. Then how can sleep? So now He's a maintainer and a caretaker that is not only willing, but also capable like no one else. No one else has that capability of taking care of us the way that Allah Azza wa Jal does, without exhaustion. ذكر السنة قبل النوم. I mentioned that. لم يضع لام التعريف. That's the other interesting thing. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم, as opposed to السنة and النوم. The al's are missing. Previously you saw الحي القيوم. Now you see them missing. In the negation, when they're missing, what that means is even the least bit of drowsiness, even the least possibility of sleep, isn't ever going to get a hold of Him. The least of it is denied. This is the perfection of the language of Quran. If you say لا تأخذه السنة ولا النوم, if you put al on it, then drowsiness in the worst sense, in the absolute sense, doesn't get a hold of Him. But that means in some sense it might. Or like total sleep doesn't get Him. When you say total sleep doesn't get Him, you might be suggesting, well, partial sleep might. So He's actually using the most minimal of the forms to let us know that there's no possibility of sina or no, meaning drowsiness or sleep. Now I want you to remember where the sentence begins. The beginning of this second sentence is not لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. The beginning of the sentence is the word Allah. Allah لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Allah, nothing grabs a hold of him. Allah, exclamation, no drowsiness grabs a hold of him, nor does any sleep whatsoever. When you put Allah in the beginning like that, this is what you call فَذَلِكَ يُشِيرُ إِلَى إِثْبَاتِ غَيْرِ الْفَاعِلِ. It actually alludes to other than Allah. Allah, in fact, none of this ever happens to him. By comparison, it will happen to all else. And that will remind you of how perfect Allah is. And that will actually remind you of the first statement. That is truly being Al-Hayy. Because everything else experiences sleep. And when they experience sleep, we know sleep is a form of what? Of death. Of death. And when you're sleeping, you can't take care of anything. You can't be Qa'im. Forget Qayyum. So Allah is proving how He is. He can only be Al-Hayyul Qayyum in the statement, لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. You people can't. No one else can. And so, now you get to just, this is a little bit of an observation about the language of the Quran, but I think it's important to mention. لو قال لا تأخذه سنة ونوم. If you say drowsiness and sleep, don't get a hold of him. Listen carefully to the English. Forget the Arabic for a second. Drowsiness and sleep, don't catch him. When you say it like that, the word I put in between was and. Drowsiness and sleep, don't catch him. You know what that does? It's problematic. It actually means when they both come together, they don't bother him. But if they come separately, they might. You see? For example, if I say, I don't like fries and ketchup. If I say that. That still means I might like fries and mustard. But anyway, some people, So when you say, I don't like fries and ketchup, that doesn't actually mean you don't like, that it still could mean you still like fries. You just don't like the combination. If you say, drowsiness and sleep doesn't catch Allah. That's a problematic statement because that you could mean drowsiness on its own might catch him, or sleep on its own might catch him. It's just the combination that never gets him. Allah didn't say that. He didn't put an and in between them like that. There's a la wa la. If you look at the word or, لا تأخذه سنة أو نوم. Drowsiness or sleep don't catch him. If he said it like that, which he didn't, then that actually means drowsiness on its own will never get him. Sleep on its own will never get him. But a combination might. A combination might get him. Because you say, I don't like this by itself or that by itself. But together I might. You see? So the aw would have been problematic. Somebody could have pulled out something and said, hey, but wait a second. I mean, you only negated these things in isolation. But together they may be something else. What did Allah do? لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. And neither. Neither does, drowsiness get him, nor does sleep get him. Not by saying neither nor, Allah negated both of them individually and together. Whether they come on their own or they're together, it doesn't matter. It never gets a hold of it. This is part of just the perfection of how Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks. Yes,